Hello everyone, I'm here with Tech Motorsports, and here we have the Alpine E46 M3, and I will be installing a CSL bumper. I will touch base on which brand it is that I will be installing. As Michael told me, this is pretty much, they're not making this one anymore, or this company isn't, so it's a dinosaur, I guess, at this point, but I will touch base with that here soon. Don't know if you guys have noticed, I haven't put up many videos lately, except for my chum car renters for the in-car footage. But yes, it's been one of those things that I've been, I'm super behind. It's just me technically working. And as I bring a project in, we have a list of stuff we're going to be doing. And the wandering eye starts to find another bad stuff, and then we have to order parts. And hold tight while I rant a little bit. And like I've stated before in some of my other videos, it just sucks when they show they have the part in stock and they don't have it in stock, and it takes for a day or two for them to say, hey, by the way, or I look at my online status and it still shows pending. And again, I have to go through and look for another part if it's going to take too long to get it here. And then also the worst part, when you go ahead and you know you need it to get it out and you order overnight and it doesn't show up overnight, and it's very aggravating, and it really it's killed me, because from one car it affects it if it's going to be here for 3 weeks and it's here additional 2 weeks. The next car, that's 2 weeks behind, I'm already pushing that back, and then I find the same issue if it's going to be a week or days, and it's a ripple effect. One car will affect the other one, and that's pretty much where it has put me. And so I'm just behind. I see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. So doing some of these videos does take up a little bit of the time, as I am not perfect at this. So sometimes I have to do a few takes just to get the point across. And yeah, so here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and get to this thing, and let's check out this CSL bumper. Okay, so here we go. We got the fiberglass CSL bumper, and the company is Mile End Composites. As I stated before, it's no longer available, and the good thing about this one, you have the structure in there, and you also have the bumper structure that's built in. Let me go ahead and put this forward this way. So yeah, you can see that it's got the whole structures here as well, and it even has the bumper structure. This is supposedly supposed to be like a great, awesome fitment for the US cars. So yeah, so I already tested the actual sections here, and they actually fit really well in there, so that's good. Also, so here is a couple of snorkels that are going to get installed. Now here's the other thing. Here's the grill for the actual air duct, and the bumper itself has a notch that this will sit in. So this is a one-way install. You have a little notch on here, so that's great. And then also, one of the other main things that we're going to be doing is, unfortunately, the car ran over something for the front bumper, and it oh, you didn't see that. It took out the ambient air and the plug itself, so I will be doing that repair while I'm at it, and once I have the bumper off. There's another set of wires in there, of course. Shame on you, Michael. Shame on you, Michael. That he supposedly saw when he dropped the car off, and of course now, long and behold, I'm hoping we don't have to order anything else. But what he did find out when he looked at it a little bit more is that the actual fender lining inside the front section is completely gone. So we'll have to order one of those, which is easy for him to install, which is no big deal. He'll take care of that. So hopefully that won't delay me as much. But the other set of broken wires, I just don't know what it is as of right now, but I will find out once I have the bumper off. But so yeah, this is pretty much about it. It should be straightforward install. So let's go ahead and get the car up in the air and start taking off the OEM bumper. windshield washer reservoir is I guess bolted to the actual reinforcement on the bumper itself that stays on the car, and yeah, so that should be fine. Same thing with the ducting, and I've already disconnected this one. So here comes the part that I hate the most. It's nerve-wracking to do this. As many times as I've done it, it's never settled with me correctly. Is you got to make sure you got everything, all your panels underneath, and these are all technically it's plastic plungers that hold the bumper in place. And what you have to end up doing is just pulling from here. You still have your plastic guide pins on each side where the fenders are at, so you got to pull there, and you technically have to pull hard to pop. I think it's 4 or 5. I think it's 4, 1 here and 2 here, and to pop out. And that's the part that's a little bit nerve-wracking. I mean, even for me. So even though this bumper is no good and it's going to go in the trash because it is cracked right here, it still is nerve-wracking. So let's get to it. We're going to be reusing this grill. This is the only part of this bumper that we'll be reusing, so I'll be taking this off here shortly. Okay, so pretty much there we have it. These were the clips. They all stayed on. It is 4. As you can see on the first pull, I had to pull really hard. This one was a little bit nudged loose already, so I really didn't have to pull on that one. But it's just that whole feel of it. So the next thing I'm going to be doing is removing the air ducts for the OEM bumper. So I'm going to get these removed on both sides. And so here is the sensor wire that I will be repairing. This is for the ambient air. When the item was ran over on this side, it took part of the fender lining off and took the sensor with it. So we'll be getting that reinstalled and going from there. So I'm going to go ahead and just take these things off real quick and kind of look at the bumper and look at what other items I might have to kind of move to be able to just try to get the fitment of the bumper on there. So yeah. Okay, so the actual air dams or the brake duct cooling, the OEM ones, they have 2 plastic clips, these right here, and these are actually on the inside. You got one in the rear, one in the front, on both sides. Now, if you guys ever watched when I did the installation of the Carboneous CSL intake on this one, what we ended up doing is we took the actual air duct and we cut it down so that this fits right above, right kind of snug to the actual snorkel for the Carboneous, and then we actually put the sensor right here, and that to get nice cool readings. So we'll be reusing this and some of this on depending on how the bumper goes on. So that's the only other thing that's going to be kind of different depending if you have a CSL intake and if you have the Carboneous with the snorkel going down. But no matter what, usually you always want to relocate that sensor right there. So the bracket here that was holding this on, because he ran over it on this side, is pretty much mangled. So I'm going to try to straighten it up the best as I can because we have to cut a certain section out to be able to get the ducting through. So yeah, I'll get started on that. All right, so here is the bracket that technically holds the driver's side under tray and the fog light. Sorry, not the fog light, but the brake ducting. She's pretty mangled. So the tabs are broken, and I'm going to try to straighten it out just to see if we could get by. We'll pretty much order another one down the road and get installed. There's still a lot more stuff that he has on the list to get this car done. So that way I'm not sitting around waiting on parts and pushing more stuff even further back. We're going to go ahead and do it this way. So next step, what I'm going to end up doing is getting the bumper reinforcement off. There are 3 holes, or there are actually 3 nuts to take off. You only want to take the 2 off. If you look at it very carefully, you can see that I think it's this one right here. Yeah, this one on the bottom one, on this side right here, driver side. is, I'm sorry, I'll take that back. This will be the left side. That one, it doesn't go through, so you can leave that bolt, and the same thing with the other side. You also have the fog light harness that needs to be removed and clipped out of the plastic clips. And then also the windshield, and then the windshield washer itself needs to come off. It's 210 millimeters, like I stated before. It is bolted onto the reinforcement. So we're gonna go ahead and lay this off, and great for me. The windshield washer reservoir is completely full. So I'm gonna have to give me a little drain bucket. So, so let me go ahead and get going with removing all this stuff. Okay, so I went ahead and removed the grill off the OEM bumper. I went ahead and installed that, and as I was doing that, I realized that I needed to remove these plungers. And previously I said the only thing was the grill, but you got to get these little plungers off as well. And so I took those off. So I already went ahead and snapped on the front grill mesh here, so that piece went on good. So this bumper comes with the screws minus 2 screws here. Luckily I have screws here, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish off. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these installed, and just in case if anybody takes these off and they forget how they go, the cut section goes up towards the sky, so remember that. And I'm gonna go ahead and get these installed, and I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to install these just quite yet. I will get to that. I kind of want to finish the bumper, but then again, I want to start getting to the plumbing of the snorkel tubing and that stuff, and see what else I need to maybe relocate and such. So I'm going to go ahead and get this done. It's very simple. It's just bolting these in. They already come with the holes drilled out and tapped. So yeah, I'll touch base with that a little bit later. I'll see if I'll get it done now or later. So okay, so went ahead and decided to just go ahead and get these installed already. So what I did was I flipped it over to make sure that everything fitted, and it looked like everything was fitting nice and tight. So I used 3M tape to hold them in place. You got to make sure that you push them up all the way, so that way you get a nice, good, clean seal all the way around. And got to use good 3M tape, otherwise it will not hold it in there when you want to end up drilling. So what I'm going to end up doing is I'm going to use rivet nuts. So I'm going to put these rivet nuts under here. I'm going to do 3 on each side. I got my my holes already dotted out. Now I didn't measure them, so they're not going to be exact, but you technically will never see underneath the car. But as long as they'll hold, they'll be good. But I got to remember, you got to put pressure up, and you got to put those under. Now originally we were going to end up doing also adding 3M tape on here, but because I'm looking at the gap, there's really not going to be much of a gap, so I will not be using 3M tape. I'm just going to use the which I got Allen heads here. These are M5s, so I'll be putting 3 on each one. So I'm going to go ahead and get my rivet gun out and go ahead and get these installed. And technically at that point, I think pretty much the bumper is pretty much completely assembled and ready for installation, which once I get done with this, then we'll jump on the actual tubing for the CSL intake box and stuff. All right, before I start drilling, I do want to say you got to be careful with the one on the outside on either end, because the contour of the bumper, it gets it's thick on this side where you could actually drill through and put a time served in. Oh, I'm sorry, not a time served, rib nut. It gets smaller and smaller as the closer you get to over here. So you want to make sure that you get it in a good spot, so that way you have enough room for the rivet nut. So don't go all the way out to the edge, because you won't be able to do that. But once you put it on and you kind of do the first fitment, you'll be able to see that. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to do step drills. So I got 8-inch just to get my pilot holes. And what I'll end up doing then is I will take the tape off and look at it just to make sure that they fit correctly, because I can then kind of adjust a little bit and move it up or down. But this is the one I'm more worried about. And then I'm going to go with 1/4 inch drill bit and then get to the next size. That should it's probably going to be a really snug fit. I have the next size up drill bit, but it's just a little bit too wobbly, so I want to make sure it gets a nice snug fit. So I might just round this out just a tad bit so that the riv nut actually sits there kind of snug. So yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and get to it. Now now that I'm end up drilling it or going to start drilling it, I can see that there's still a little play, and I'm putting pressure on the actual front piece so I can make sure I get this section nice and tight to the actual bumper itself. You want a nice, very tight fit. That way it looks freaking OEM as heck. So. All right, beautiful. So both of the small holes on both ends are pretty much right in the middle of the actual lip itself. So I should be able to drill and do my insert, and it's going to have plenty of fiberglass to crimp to. So sweet. So now what I'm going to end up doing is I'm only going to drill the size for the rivet here, and then I'm going to drill the size for the screw on these sections, and it should be a fitment. Okay, so there it is. I got all 6 of them in. Now, the fiberglass is a little bit thick, so that's where you have to be very careful. If it's too thick, you can't use these. But this was just enough to where I could get it to crimp in. Or I did this one first, and I went ahead and wanted to make sure that it was nice and snug. So I put the screw in there and kind of moved it around, and she was staying nice and tight. And what you want to do, because it's fiberglass, you want to be very careful. As you can tell, you could hear the fiberglass starting to squeeze together and kind of like, I guess the best explanation I could say is crack. And that's, crushing the fiberglass together. And that's technically when you want to stop. You want to pull it out, and you want to make sure that it doesn't move. And it's not holding any weight. It's not doing anything of that sort. So it should be fine. And if it doesn't pan out, we'll just use regular bolt. Now I'm just going to wipe the bumper down and get all the fiberglass pieces on. And also I still have to drill the holes on the actual, I forget what those things are called, the bumper eyelids things, but I'll get those going, get those installed, and the front bumper is technically done, and we'll just start on the intake. All right, so I'm going to cut it here. So this will be part 1 of the video. So we'll pick up the remaining on part 2. So yeah, so like always, like and subscribe, and see you in part 2.